5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-host and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts from the week before we get together here at our gracious podcast host, BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery, on a Tuesday evening, and then we give our version of the truth of how those podcasts went. Hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows. It's going all right.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I am Marco. I'm a brewer and a bartender here locally, and that voice you heard is the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and I just like to sit back and drink all of the craft beer in the greater Cincinnati area. I'm also known to produce a podcast like ours and sometimes produce the Weekly Pint every now and then. And,
That's right.
Write funny things about beer on the Facebooks.
Yes, you do. You do that. Thank you, all of you who have been with us for a long time listening. I truly appreciate, Julia and I truly appreciate your listenership. Thank you to first-time listeners and not first-time. First-time guests always introduce themselves. So,
but he's not a first-time
He's not a first-time guest. So
and I've listened at least twice.
There you go. And that voice you heard is Mark Miller of the Brews Travelers Outcast podcast,
Hell yeah.
also of Dina Distributing.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's Quick Trip with the podcast.
Oh,
though.
oops. Does that mean we have to drink?
That means we have to drink.
All right,
Yes,
drink.
let's go. We
Do
start
it.
that off.
That's a good way to start it off.
Love it. Good deal.
And speaking of drinking,
Yeah.
no good craft beer podcast would be a good craft beer podcast if we weren't drinking.
That's right.
It would be silly.
would
It
be
really would.
just
It would be.
childish.
Yeah.
So we all have glasses of delicious libations in front of us. Mark, since you're the guest, would you like to share what you have in your very, very fancy
Absolutely.
snifter there?
Yes, it's a lot smaller than your glasses, but
That's
it's
what
still
she
very
said.
nice and fancy. I'm having Cherry Jubilee by Urban Artifact.
Nice.
Yes, and I didn't realize that I'd had this before. Went to check it in on Untapped and saw that I had it before. And
This year, so this version?
this was,
Or was
a
it-
year ago, so
Okay.
it was 2020.
Okay.
So, and I'd had it in a can. This is the first time I've had it on draft, and
Nice.
the ranking went way up. I don't know if it's the difference in the year or the difference in having it on draft, but this is fantastic.
Good.
It's a 7% sour. It just drinks wonderful.
awesome.
Cherry
Nice.
tastes like cherry, not cough medicine.
I love it. That is my
That's
one
great.
problem with cherry in any
Oh,
drink.
sure.
Oh,
any drink, any
absolutely.
food, anything, is it's always medicinal. Or
Yeah,
almost
and,
always medicinal.
And it had to have been on a podcast somewhere where Brett from Urban Artifact talked about just fruit and differences of year to year or different batches of fruit. And
Sure.
I'm sure they manage that well. That's part of the challenge, so I'm sure they enjoy the the experience of maneuvering or managing around all of that. So,
Yeah.
but Julie and I are drinking the same thing.
Are we? I didn't know what you had gotten.
Yeah.
Marco picked out our beers, and it's delicious. Absolutely delicious.
So we are having Hellas Real from Grainworks Brewing out in Westchester.
That is a
Yes.
fantastic beer.
It's very good. For a day as hot as today, it's definitely
Yeah.
hitting the spot.
Yeah.
I drove past
definitely.
that sign earlier today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. You are all
The real one.
literally all over the place.
I am. I was in Columbus today, so
Yeah. Quick trip
Excellent.
all over the place.
yes.
Yeah, he just made a quick trip up there and
Only took 10 minutes.
There you go.
always
That's right.
takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Always takes
I'll
10
be there in
minutes.
10 minutes.
So did either of you happen to listen to any, and I know that quick trip, although, I mean, we're going
This
to
is
drink
our show.
anyway. Yeah, you're right. This is our show.
You can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for beer.
I know that you weren't planning on being on the show.
No.
But, so I'll ask the question to you and Marco both. Did
Okay.
you guys happen to listen to any craft beer podcasts this week?
I did.
All right.
Yeah. Local ones, yes.
I did, but it was yours.
Oh, hey, that
So-
works. We're just not going to recap
Yeah,
our
we're not.
program.
Right,
That'll
that might get
that'd be
incredibly confusing.
weird. Yeah, no
There
kidding.
may be a day, but
Where
um,
today is not that
today's
day.
not that day.
So, Marco, I only had 2 on my list. Let's just make sure that our lists are the same.
Sounds
I
good.
have the Craft Parenting podcast where they talked about Missing Linck Fest.
I did listen to that one, yes.
Excellent. And then one that arrived late to the game, but still in time for our cutoff, our 9 p.m. Monday night cutoff.
Yes.
Shift Beers,
Yep.
talking about lagers.
Yep.
all kinds of lagers.
Oh, and what a show that was. We will get into
telling
it
you, yes.
after Craft Parenting Podcast.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right in. Episode 62, the one about missing Linck Fest.
And you and Josh.
And Josh and I, because we were mentioned on the show. This one might sound a little redundant to last week's show and our bonus episode from last week,
right.
Just because we talked about missing Linck Fest as our entire bonus episode. The gnome talked to Brett and
Missing
Brett
Linck
Coleman,
what?
Missing Linck Fest.
Okay.
Not the other thing.
Did either of
The
you
other
go?
thing. I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could have.
It was awesome. It's definitely something that you really should try to get to as much as you can.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, and everyone should go and listen to that 0.5 episode about Missing Linck Fest.
Yeah,
But they
Fest.
did.
F-E-S-T.
That's right.
Fest.
F-E-S-t.
Fest.
Fest.
Evil.
Well, spelled
I'm
right.
just going to say festival. That'll save me some trouble.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I guess they're going to do it first weekend in June, which means that more than likely I will have to, I don't know.
I told you,
call
alternate.
off sick or something. I don't know, because first weekend in June is the Valley Vineyards Wine Festival, which is a beer and wine festival, which is also discussed in the 0.5 episode
Yes.
last week.
Yes.
But what you got there? What notes?
So in this episode of Craft Parenting Podcast, it started off with Caroline drinking dihydrogen monoxide, which, I
Right.
mean, that can be dangerous depending on how much you drink, how quickly you drink it, if you're adding stuff to it, if you're trying to take something away from it, it can just be absolutely deadly.
Yep.
But there's nothing better than a nice ice cold glass of what I have written down, Di-Hi, because, you know.
Some Di-Hi.
Some Di-Hi. So if you know, you know. It's not hard to figure out what dihydrogen monoxide is, but I thought that was a fun way for them to start out their show. And shame on Joe and Caroline. She doesn't get her voice
Who?
sang for this. No, not for this one.
Oh, okay.
They have not yet been to any of the higher gravity locations. They were literally like, okay, so you know Humble Monk? Mm-hmm. You know higher
heard of
gravity
them.
north side?
Yeah.
You know how you can see one of them from the other?
Yeah.
They were down there and they didn't even bother to stop by, even just like poke their head in the door to be like, hey, what's the space look like?
That's some bullshit.
Nothing. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I call bullshit. I
I'm
think they
telling
need to
you.
fix that problem.
I mean,
Yeah.
North Side is still on the west side of Cincinnati, so they have no excuse. I mean, I don't know if Joe wants to add that to his list of trying to make it to 12 breweries and higher gravity, but I am disappointed.
Higher gravity is like a bonus. You can hit a bunch of breweries, but places like where we're at today at BC Bottle
Oh,
Lodge
yeah,
and higher
yeah.
gravity are just they're beautiful.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
The people there are wonderful, just like here.
Except for that Marco guy.
Oh, well.
He's a little
Well,
sketchy.
He's at the Summit Park location, not at the
Right.
Northside
Yeah,
location.
This
I
is
avoid
true.
that location for that reason.
I feel that.
They covered the kind of a recap of Missing Linck, what the yeast is, what the festival is, the
Right.
history behind it, which is really cool. So if you haven't heard or listened to any of the episodes with Brett Coleman Baker, the Gnarly Gnome, where they've talked about this,
Michael D. Morgan.
and Michael D. Morgan, Caroline gave, no, I'm still not doing it.
Okay.
She
that's fine.
kind of ruined her chance for the rest of this recap for it. So we'll see if they do better next week.
So when you met him, did you call him Michael D. Morgan?
He was talking to everyone, like introduced himself to the crowd before I stepped up and said, hi, I'm Julia. You guys are too busy for me to really do any better than that. He was saying Mike, so
It was just Mike.
Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just Mike.
But in print, it's always Michael D. Morgan. So
Because there's
depends-
probably another Michael Morgan that
More
publishes
than
things.
likely.
So he has to put the D in there. It's like, you know, it's just a,
Does he?
he needs to slide that in. So it's like Stephen A. Smith. I mean, it wouldn't be you know who
It's not-
Stephen
yeah.
A. Smith is, but you know if you had to watch Steve Smith
Yes.
talk about I don't know basketball. I mean, it doesn't have the gravitas as Stephen A. Smith. So
Very true.
Michael D. Morgan, gravitas.
No kidding.
Michael Morgan, sounds like a murderer.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. They, I say they like we weren't just talking about 15 different people here. Joe and Caroline mentioned that 10 of the breweries were involved, and they even went over each of the breweries that were part of this year's Missing Linck Festival and what they brought. From Urban Artifact, Carillion from Dayton, OTR Stillhouse, Wooden Cask, Brink, Humble Monk, Westside, Cartridge, Fibonacci, and Bierkes. Yep. And I believe both places sold out of everything they had on draft that very same Saturday. So
Oh, wow.
unless you find it at those breweries. I believe that Fibonacci might still have some of theirs, which was it was a steam beer, which thanks to Bruce Guy's Happy Hour, I actually know what a steam beer is.
That's
I
right.
never really heard the term before, but a steam beer with blueberries. So
Blueberries.
reach out to blueberries. So reach out to Fibonacci if they still have some on tap up there. Get up there, get over there, get down there, depending on where you live. Get some.
So have you never had an Anchor Steam?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. I know that I've seen it.
That is like the
but it's
steam beer.
Yeah.
And-
And it's
Right.
now that I know that, I know to look for it. And of course, now that I'm looking for it,
It was a style of beer
don't
that
see
went
it.
away for a long time, and I believe Common Beer Company has one right now.
Okay.
There's several breweries that are
Okay.
starting to do steam beers, and it's
Nice.
a revival.
yeah, I definitely want to. And I say track down. It's probably not that hard to find. But again, when you're actually looking for something, it disappears.
Right.
So I will have one soon. They talked about how they crashed the tour at the Missing Link Festival that Brett and Mike were hosting, which was they crashed it as far as we just started talking, and then they just started walking with us, and boom, they were in the tour.
That's the way you do it.
But they didn't take any of the samples that were being poured for the people that had paid for the tour.
Fair.
So yeah, I mean, I had no issue with it, and there were even some extra cups of some of the samples as we were walking, like from kind of place to place. So they probably could have, but they already had beer in a cup in their hand, so they were good.
Quick trip. Do you did you have wooden casks this year? The Missing Link.
I
beer?
haven't had
As a
any of the
person
Missing
who-
Links this year, no.
Who supplies the wooden cask beer?
I would have been at Wooden Cask yesterday if they were open on Mondays.
Ah, okay.
So I got off work and was looking for a bite to eat, and it's hard to find a brewery that's open and a bite to eat on Mondays. It's
Yes.
tough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
But no, I will get down there. If they have any left, I'll probably be down there in the next
Sweet.
I
days.
believe that was a Belgian quad, and it was freaking ridiculous.
That
It was
sounds
so good.
Sounds
so good.
right up Randy's lane.
That totally does. That's yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, they had. I was reading OTR Cells did a Belgian quad, Wooden Cast did a Belgian red, but
Oh.
I had both of those, and I mean, both absolutely delicious. Caroline and Joe let slip about the rats in the Urban Artifact Warehouse. Brett, that is a joke. There are no rats. We were just joking about how rodents of unusual size
It was a
could be
cat in
perfectly
costume.
happy there, or maybe it was
Rodents
just
of unusual size.
maybe it wasn't a rat that we saw. Maybe it was just Brett in the Sasquatch costume, and because
Right.
he was far
Yeah,
away on
yeah.
the other side of the warehouse, we just didn't know what we were looking at. And Caroline found the Gatorade flavored soap. Yeah.
Wait, flavored? She ate the soap?
I don't believe any tasting was involved, but
Okay.
there was the big, like, industrial sized bottle of soap back behind one of the things, and it had a Gatorade label on it. So we're like, we don't know what's happening here. If it was like some type of Gatorade concentrate that maybe they were using for no idea.
It's
It
probably
looked like soap, but we're like, it's Gatorade flavored soap.
it's probably something left over from Prohibition.
More than
Ah.
likely. More than likely. Gatorade
Well, they
was
got
pretty
to-
big back then.
Right,
They had
right.
to stay hydrated somehow.
What were you going to do? You're going to
Yeah.
drink beer.
Yes.
And they mentioned that there was someone at the festival in an inflatable dinosaur costume, and I missed it. I did not see that. I was very
Yeah.
I have one of those,
Oh, you do?
but I do. Josh got me one for Christmas one year
Oh, that's great.
because he knows me way too well.
I have a picture of my wife and I in inflatable dinosaur costumes.
Nice.
Toasting wine glasses.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of wraps up the recap of what they talked about on this episode of Craft Parenting Podcast. It was really fun to hear their point of view on Missing Link Fest. There was more to it. There was some conversation where Joe was talking to Bob Ballas from Fibonacci and his ridiculously long race that he's training for. So to get to the Missing Link Fest, he walked from Fibonacci Brewing down to Humble Monk as part of his training. Really cool to hear about, so definitely check out this episode if nothing else to hear about that.
Right.
And it was really fun to hang out with them. It was a good time. We spent much longer there than we had anticipated.
It's always fun hanging out with them.
Exactly. Good.
You've
times
got
with
me
good people.
intrigued. At least one person from this podcast is going to go back and listen to that
Yeah.
because I'm going to check this out.
Yeah,
It sounds
absolutely.
like a lot of great information.
Yeah, it's cool. They do when they cover beer. If they're not talking about an experience that they had, kind of like Missing Link Fest, they're always really good about getting a lot of education in it as well, like the history of Missing Link and the East and all that. Previous episodes where they talked about Prohibition in Cincinnati. So it's, yeah, check it out. It might be in your wheelhouse, might not,
There you
but,
go.
but worth listening to.
Yep, for sure.
All right, do we want to take a super quick break before we move on to shift beers?
I do.
All right, let's do it. We made it back yet again from another break.
Show did.
Pretty awesome. So I'm still slow drinking the 2 drinks that I had when we started this show. One I got before you got here, Marco, which is a craft ginger ale, because I just got here and was incredibly overheated from the
hot.
9 billion degrees out there. And I'm like, I just don't feel like a beer. I need something less.
Do you know it's cooler in Miami, Florida today than it is here?
That's bullshit.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah. So I'm still finishing up my Hellas Reel.
I'm still working on my Cherry
that
Jubilee.
one. But what did you get? Something that's buzzing.
I have a Saber-Tooth Tiger IPA from Rhinegeist Brewing.
Hell yeah.
8.5% of goodness.
Ooh, we're going to get crazy up in here. Speaking of getting crazy up in here.
Yep.
Shift Beers, episode 84.
Transition.
The wide world of lagers. Which,
it is a wide world.
It is.
But they could have widened the world a little bit. Like 3 golden fizzy ones, and like what do they have? Like a Schwartz beer or something? They have like 3 Pilsner and a Schwartz beer.
It wasn't the greatest, and even they will admit that.
Well, okay, that's not. The episode was great.
Yeah,
However,
it was an absolutely fantastic episode.
Yeah. You probably have a lot of notes on your drinking, but you need to listen to the episode to understand what happened with some of these beers, and then some of the fun they have stemming from that. But
yes.
Go ahead. What do we have? Oh, hey,
hold on,
whoa.
fire truck. We're gonna.
So hot. Something just spontaneously combusted.
Yeah. Probably the usual table we normally sit at here at BC's. We're at a different table today.
Yeah, we're at a different table.
That actually has airflow.
Because we had to get away from the door. Good God.
Let's see. So they started this episode out, according to Brian, when it comes to lagers, you just got to fuck around and find out.
That's right.
Which I thought is a brilliant statement for anything having to do with craft beer. Just
put it on a t-shirt.
Try it. Just yes. We should do that. We should steal that phrase from them.
Yeah.
And start selling them when it comes to lagers. Fuck around and find out.
Yep. Hashtag that shit.
I love it. I love it. Let's see. They shouted out Sean from Nostalgia Brewing for being their newest Patreon subscriber.
Way to go, Sean.
Sean, that's awesome of you. I love it. And we still need to make a Columbus trip to get you up to Nostalgia Brewing.
Yeah, we do.
Because
Absolutely.
it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Quick trip? Did you make a quick trip there anytime?
I have not been in Nostalgia, no.
It's great. It's
but
in
you
Gahana,
were in Columbus today.
Yes.
I was in Columbus today,
Yeah.
but I was
Columbus
working,
proper.
not
you were working.
brewery hopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, technically brewery hopping, but not in the drinking casual way that we tend to refer to it as.
Yes. Well, yeah, more bottle shop hopping.
There we go. Let's see, another shout out to their drunk line. So if you've had one too many and you need to tell somebody about that, call the Shift Beers drunk line. It is one. I guess you don't have to do the dial number 1 anymore. You do. I don't know if that's just old timey shit that I just did.
I don't think I have it saved with a 1. I'm not sure.
So their drunk line number is 804-445-2337, which if you spell it out is 804 high 5 beer. And apparently you can only call it when you're drunk, but my question, well, what Marco and I were discussing in our pre-production meeting, how do they know?
Okay.
How do they know?
You want to go ahead and use...
Yes.
Go ahead.
Right.
Is your phone hooked up to our little Bluetooth device?
I don't just hook it up just
okay.
because.
Go ahead and hook the phone up and call it, and then listen to what this says. And this is going to be in the recording. It's great.
You guys are so fancy with all your buttons and plugins.
You like our buttons and plugins?
I like your buttons and plugins. I'm jealous.
All right. Let's see.
This is exciting. This is the point where in the show we like to call this Julia calls the drunk line.
I feel like you need a drum roll button. Or a drum roll, one of the two.
I used to have a button for that, but let's see if I have this connected right.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Truth Beer Pod.
I think they're busy recording a podcast.
Marco, this better be good.
I'm telling you, we need a drum roll, but
Better be good.
Welcome to the Shit Beers Drunk Line. Drunk Line! Leave a message if you're drunk. If you're not, hang up, Marco!
This is Julia. Fuck you. That is amazing that you are directly called out. But again, how do they know? Some people are still very eloquent when they are drunk.
Sure.
So I think
I've met
that's
some of these people from time to time.
I've been some of those people from time to
There
time.
you go.
So how would they know? I feel like that's discrimination.
Ooh.
You know?
Wow.
I mean,
that's a heavy accusation.
They are pretty much saying
We should run with that.
They're saying we don't want you calling us unless you're drunk.
right.
So,
But they can't know.
but they can't verify. They're going
Right.
purely off of an assumption.
Right. It's not like
Right.
you need to list your blood alcohol level, when you call in.
Right. Like, hey guys, I'm down at the police station, just got pulled over. I blew a .27 or some
They would
god awful
welcome
number.
that call, but
They
don't waste your
don't
one
do
call
it. Do not
on the drunk line.
on the Shipper's drunk line. Yes.
Maybe they're depending on this man's honesty here, right?
Oh man. They also threw down a little bit with the Newport report and how
Oh, they did, yes.
and how our favorite boys from Swift Current, Saskatchewan,
That's right.
just aren't cutting it anymore, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I will
It
say,
is ridiculous.
I do have a slight issue with them.
Okay.
One of their, not this most recent episode, but like 2 episodes ago of the Newport report.
Okay.
I was watching it on the YouTubes like an hour after it was posted, I think. So I was the first one to, little YouTube counter. And they did a little game like, oh, hey, if you are the first one to answer correctly, we'll send you a T-shirt. And
Didn't you?
And and I'm like, how much fun would it be if I got a Newport Report T-shirt before anyone at Shift Beers did? So I
Yeah.
was like, hey, sure, why not? No, absolutely nothing. No comment back to it. Nothing indicating, was I the first? Did I actually get it wrong? Nothing. Radio silence.
I think our version is that you did.
Yes, absolutely did. That's our version.
Did deserve the shirt.
Yeah. So to Justin and Brett, I mean, reach out. Let me know what the deal is.
Maybe
Yeah.
they didn't want to upset Shift Beers, and they caught on to your little scheme.
It's not a scheme.
It's not a scheme. It's like I legit did.
It's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I want
First
one
come,
too.
first serve. You want one too?
So,
I
well-
do too, actually.
I know, that'd be so cool.
They're
we
the
need a
coolest
bulk
guys
order.
I know from
Oh
Swift
my God,
Current,
yeah.
Saskatchewan.
Absolutely,
I mean,
hands down. So
coolest, without a doubt.
if you enjoy sports puck and the hockey balls, and also craft beer, mostly Canadian, the Newport Report is the podcast that you guys should listen to.
That's right.
It's a lot of fun. Let's see. I am 100% with Brian in that if you're making a deli-style sandwich and there is ham on it, that ham needs to be like thin sliced, not thick, like inch big pieces of ham.
Right. So, like, you have, I don't know, your get together. Let's just call it I don't know, Easter, and you've got your ham, and you're slicing your ham, and you got like a half-inch thick piece slice of ham.
That's fine. If you're eating it by itself, like not.
You're not
That's fine.
gonna you don't condone turning that into a sandwich in its current state of thickness.
See, I
No.
would say that is the exception, like the leftover honey baked ham. Otherwise, I think you're probably right. You want a deli
I'm
sandwich. You're going with thin slice.
Yeah. For me, a sandwich needs to just be something that I'm not having to chew through to get the piece.
Yeah, you really
in my
have
mouth.
to. You gotta, put the chompers to work on that one.
Correct. So I'm with Brian on that one.
Yeah,
definitely.
I don't hate it. That's fine.
Are you actually referring to them by their actual names instead of their drag names?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just easier that way. It's easier for anyone that listens to us
That's-
to not
yeah,
be
okay.
like,
So,
what the hell is
uh,
Krispy Kreme? Like, it's just not. It's just easier. Keeps the flow of things. Yeah, it's in my other. So I'm on my second notebook of notes for Truth Beer Pod. This is episode 46 that we're on, and 2 notebooks in, and all of my notes on their drag names are in my other notebook.
You should do like a monthly and annual burp count as well.
Oh my God.
Just so
that
we
could
realize
be-
how out of hand it's getting.
That could be a lot of fun. And
I got one for. I have a note here, Brian. I had Mrs. Fellow Open Tubes.
Oh, all right. That's good.
See.
That's good.
Beth. Let's see. I had
Was it like Guy Liner?
Alan Hersnatch.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had Richard Duels. And then the real pencil whipper here, Count Burbula.
Nice. Very nice. I still don't have a clicker for the burp count. We're getting there.
We'll get it.
We're getting there. Let's see. Yes, they were 100% correct. I was at work, so I was internally screaming that they couldn't remember the lead singer to Pearl Jam's name. Eddie Vedder, guys.
Eddie
Vedder.
Eddie Vedder.
I don't...
Never heard of him.
Don't understand.
They had such potential. And
they
then,
did. They could have gotten so
one-hit
big.
wonders.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see. The episode was 55 minutes long. The drinking segment on what they drank the week leading up to it is 25 of those minutes. So this entire recap portion that we just did was everything leading up to the end of drinking and the start of the lager section of the show.
So that makes me curious. Did that up the burp count?
They didn't do too bad. It was definitely no seltzer show.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The
But-
seltzer show from the week before.
Yeah, but they actually burped more during drinking because they weren't like trying to taste stuff and talk about, the lagers and that kind of stuff. So, but there have been other episodes to where, like the seltzer episodes, there are fewer in the drinking and the intro segment than in the meat of the show, just
Right.
purely based on what they're drinking. If it's like barrel-aged stuff, stouts, the number's always going to be lower because those are less carbonated. They're drinking them slower. It doesn't lend itself to the kind of numbers, the numbers that we like to see
Right.
on shipped beers.
And then Chris was on vacation
And Chris was also on vacation.
this week that they recorded. This week, presently,
Cool.
that we are
That
recording,
yes,
he's back.
He is back.
All right. Well, while we're on that subject,
Yes.
I'm going to.
Vacations, burps, which subject?
The
there were
burp
so
count.
many in just
The
that
burp
last
count.
like 10 seconds.
So
Yes.
your guys' math is 2 ounces.
Per swig, yeah.
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 Okay.
Average.
So that makes me ponder. Have you ever drinking a pint in only 8 drinks?
I'm sure I have.
Yeah,
I'm sure I've
probably
drank it in fewer.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah, I mean, you can chug the whole thing at once.
Well, that I haven't done.
In
I mean, we could also do something to where it's like 1 ounce per burp.
Well,
But
maybe I don't drink enough. Maybe that's the issue.
I
I mean-
don't know
Or you
about
might
that,
be
sir. You
drinking
seem like an
more-
overachiever to me.
Well, I was thinking about this today.
But
Then
you-
I'm like, a pint of beer, is that really only 8 drinks? Because it seems like sometimes I can sit at the bar for a long amount of time.
But
with,
if you're also talking to people and all that pint goes
That's-
down a lot slower.
That's true, too.
Than if it's just you and your sole focus is, I'm just going to drink this beer. Not trying to rush the beer, but I'm just going to drink this beer.
By the way, that number has been, I don't want to say disputed, but has come up in question a few times.
2 ounces?
I know the Gnarly Gnome has questioned that. I know that our producer Jason has questioned that. And I'm just going to say, look, that's what I went with on Google when we started the drinking game. So,
Yes.
And
Yes,
that's fine.
yeah.
I was just going to issue
that's
a
all.
challenge,
One of
actually.
these days, yeah,
Are
one of
those,
these
are those a
days.
pint, the
I
glasses
think
you're
it's
drinking
a
out
little
of?
bigger than a pint, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pint.
it a pint?
It's a
Okay.
pint.
Okay.
It's a glass blown pint. So I mean,
My
One of these
challenge is, as you're drinking your pint, every drink you take, write down a notch.
a tick.
Yeah.
And do it several times.
if we had a
and
clicker.
Maybe, or the clicker. See? That's it. I'm running to Home Depot. I'll be
There we
right back.
He'll be back.
Let's see. If you guys want to hear this, a sound that is used in a whole bunch of horror movies that have come
my
out recently,
God.
I'm giving the exact timestamp of this.
Oh, thank you.
Listen to the few seconds starting at 26 minutes and 3 seconds. I don't know what the fuck that noise was. I don't know what part of Brian's body it came out of, but everyone, both myself listening,
They were shocked.
and it was shock.
shocking.
It wasn't even shock and awe. It was
was
just
like
shock.
It was like M. Night Shyamalan should probably get in contact with
Yeah.
Brian to see if
to
there's
try
a
to
way
like
to
license that sound.
Yes.
Holy crap!
Did it count as a burp?
I don't think it came out of his mouth, so
It was evil.
It was evil. I didn't know where it came
was something.
from. So
It was
I'm like,
something very. It was cryptic.
yeah. It was an. I think it was like throat based, but I don't think it was You cannot count that as a burp. That is not what.
Strange.
Like if a burp sounds like that, there is something seriously wrong going on.
He may need to see a GI guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about someone in the military. He may need to see a GI guy because he makes comments about having too much to drink and then pooping himself on the way home and then. Just stomach issues
there seems
overall.
to be a lot of things going on there.
The news. Toby Keith had stomach cancer and is
It all
on
made
the
us
road
concerned,
on the road to recovery. It just makes me think. I hope Brian's okay. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
Whatever he did when he lived in Florida or between then and now, I hope he hasn't ruined the liner of his innards.
I would be amazed if he didn't, but I hope that he didn't.
Look,
we need many more years of Brian.
Not everybody can be Keith Richards, I guess. I don't know.
We got a very small, speaking of Brian, a very
Whoa.
small Brian.
Hey now.
Hey,
Poor Brian.
hey. If it's not as bad as it sounds, maybe.
Wait, how do you know?
I do not divulge my sources. Is that what we're supposed to say? Anyway, we got a Brian the Brewer Guy segment. And no matter, even if I say, and it was kind of small, or it still doesn't sound any better. So, Brian, this isn't about you. It kind of, well, okay, so it is and it isn't. I am making this so much worse. I give up. I'm done. But we got a Brian the Brewer Guy segment.
Okay.
That wasn't very, God damn it. I was going to say it wasn't very long. But
Hey now.
I'm sorry.
Did they use your intro song?
I'm sorry. If I don't know if we should probably record one for them to use as a button.
Okay.
Brian the Science Guy. It's
Yeah,
on the list.
we
It's on
could.
the list. Some of the lagers that they talked about, just to go over that real fast. They drank a lager. Beers from Wolf's Ridge, Aslan Beer Company, Pipeworks, and 18th Street Brewing. And it wasn't the best time. It wasn't the worst of times, but it certainly wasn't the best of times. So,
Yeah,
kind of felt bad for him.
I have had every season that the 18th Street Patio Pills comes out. I've had some of that.
We drank a bunch of that at the beginning of the
Adina
show,
distributes that, don't they?
Yeah, that's an Adina beer.
Let's see, what else do I have here? I only have 2 more notes before we get to the most fun part of our recap. There
Let's
needs
do
to
it.
be a Patreon poll for the next new button that they set up. Give us a couple of options
That would be fun.
of like things they said or like sound clips of things that they pull out, and let the Patreon members vote on what's the next new button. And it could be rotating. It could be like the Patreon button of the month is whatever, the weird noise that Brian made.
Right.
But I think that could be something
That's a
really
good
cool
idea.
that would also engage their Patreon subscribers like me and Marco, who, piggybacks off of my account. Plenty.
Well, whatever you pay them, I'll give you half of it.
Hey, we could do that.
Yeah.
So, Shift Beers, does that count? Will you not be mad at us anymore if we do that? Let us know.
Yeah.
DM us. Something.
Yeah.
Last note that I had on this episode, never send Josh to buy beer.
Well, you
mean,
just got to know what you're going to get. Right?
True.
When you send them, you know you're going to get a 30 rack of Rolling Rock,
you're going to get Josh quality beers.
or you're going to get, what
Not
they had on the
amazing.
show.
Yeah.
So,
Josh, we love you, but
we'll bring the beer.
we'll bring the beer next time. Just
Yeah.
let us know the time and the place. We'll handle the rest.
Yeah.
Yes. Do either of you? Well, Mark, you didn't get a chance to listen to this episode yet. It's
I have
still in
not
your
yet.
queue. Okay, it's a good one. You will love it. You will laugh. You will cry. You will be horrified, terrified, all kinds of things in this one.
I like lagers and I like burps, so I should.
There you
listen.
go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Mark, did you have anything else before we get to the best part of our Shift Beers recap?
No. It's just that the only... I said no, and then I'm going to follow it up with
No,
something.
but it's cool.
And
It's our show. We can do what we want.
and I did that on purpose. Maybe it's comedic, maybe it's not. There, even though Chris was not with them, Chris actually was with somebody locally, and if you know, you know. That's all I'm going to
Yes.
say about that.
Yes.
And
Very fun,
we
very
can, let's get into the only show that we have a drinking game for in the Cincinnati craft beer area podcast landia. So Shift Beers, we have a drinking game, and what it is we count all the audible burps from Shift Beers, and
we have to know their burps. It can't just be a random noise gurgling from whatever part of Brian's bowels. That doesn't count.
So it's burps, and we count them all up. We get a total burp count, and then we take that burp count, and then we, using 2 ounces as the average drink, we let you know how many pints you would have had to have consumed during the Shift Beers podcast if you were playing along with the Shift Beers drinking game, which at some point somebody's going to do.
Someone's going to do it, and this is one that they probably could.
I was just thinking that I could probably pull this one off, actually.
There you go. Well, you know what? Guess.
Yeah.
Quick Trip, why don't you give us the rundown here? So total burps, ounces, pints, and, give it to us.
Well, it looks like there were 53 burps.
Not bad. I mean, they were
Not
down
shabby.
a person, and they weren't crushing the beers like they do on some other shows, so that's perfectly acceptable.
Which, at your guys' math, and I'll state it that way.
Yes.
I think I drink a little bit smaller drinks than you guys, but 106 ounces, which is equivalent to 6.625 pints. And
Okay.
I mean,
That's
how long,
good.
How long's the
That's-
podcast?
It was 55 minutes.
55 minutes.
So 6 beers,
Wow.
almost 7 beers
6
in an hour.
Almost 7 beers in an hour.
I
If
could do
you're-
it. I just
If
don't know.
if you have the goal and you have the determination, yeah, you can do
I
it.
believe it.
I don't. Yeah. It's not going to happen. But if I had to, if Marco challenged me or something, maybe I could pull it off.
Yeah. That was fun.
Well, we'll see. At some point, somebody's going to do this, and hopefully they do that responsibly, and it'll be fun, and it'll be a good time to talk about, and it'll be a thing of legend.
And if
So,
someone does it and realizes that 2 ounces is off, like 2 ounces is not really a good measure for a typical drink.
you
or
can
the
let
burp
us
count.
know,
Let us
and-
know, and we'll change. We'll change the numbers.
we
We'll
won't,
change-
but let us know.
We'll consider changing the numbers.
There you go,
We'll consider
Julia.
changing
I think
but-
it's drastically different depending on the person.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty
For
sure
sure.
that
For
I take
sure.
more than 8 drinks out of a pint glass, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't.
I mean, I know for the most part I'm a slow drinker, but I know that there have been days where it's probably 2 ounces or 2.5, and it's like that pint goes down a lot faster than it should. So
Yeah,
so
it's people,
definitely
it's days,
variable.
it's
Yes.
situations, it's just the whole spectrum of things, right?
As Sandra would say, there are a lot of qualifiers to that number.
Yes.
However, that is the baseline that Marco found. So yes, some people, probably most people are going to be a little under that, but there are also those people that know how to open their throat, and one drink is the entire pint, which is crazy to watch in videos. But
Yeah.
That's all.
So-
that's all I got. And that's all we have for podcast recaps.
That is it.
Yeah.
And Mark, Quick Trip.
Drink.
Thank you.
Drink.
Here we go.
Here
Let's
we
go.
go. Gotta do it.
I'm going to get in trouble.
I say gotta do it, just like
What the F?
what the F.
All right. That
Thanks
was fun.
for sneaking in with us.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's
for
an honor
sure.
and a
Yeah.
pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug? I'm going to steal from what the Gnome does on Cincy
Well-
Brewcast. Is there anything you want to talk about, share, that you're doing, that Adina's doing, anything at all?
Well, I'm sure that the Outcast podcast will have another episode out in the relatively near future.
Excellent.
And hopefully you guys will actually listen to it, maybe, if we're lucky.
We will.
No, yeah, we absolutely
We will. Absolutely.
It's a great podcast. I love it.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, when does this episode come out?
This will come out this Friday.
This Friday. So
The 17th.
You are a very talented musician that is
Yes.
booking gigs all over
Well,
Yes,
the
shout out
place.
your band.
Saturday I'm playing at 2 breweries. Saturday during the day I'm playing at the Cali Fest, which is thrown by Deadlow,
Okay.
and it's going to be.
We did not know about that.
Yeah, it's we're
Sweet.
playing at 2:00 in the afternoon. There, I think the Almond Butter Band is playing in the evening,
Nice.
and then
Did you say Almond Butter Band?
Almond Butter Band.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
it's a great name, great band. And then that evening we're playing at Big Ash at like 7:30. So it's,
Okay.
Cool.
So and that's with Highly Likely. And if you're interested in Highly Likely, it's you can check us out. We're everywhere on social media. So
Excellent. And if you like listening to people traveling around and drinking beer, there is a Facebook group for the Brews Travelers Facebook group.
Yeah, we do.
Is that what
yes.
it's okay? I know that I'm part of it. I don't look at the name of the group super frequently. So I apologize if I got that. We'll start a group.
There's a
start a
Facebook
group.
page for the podcast, and then we
there's a
have
separate one
yes,
that's like
we have a
community.
craft book group, right? And
Yes.
it's it's very informative.
It really is.
It really
It really,
is.
really
It-
is.
you-
For our 0.5 episodes, I always check that page to make sure, am I missing an event? Is there something that I need to make sure that we
Well, thank you,
shout out?
because I try really hard to make it
Very helpful.
no,
you know.
it
It
is
is.
extremely informative.
There's a lot of craft beer Facebook groups, and they're all wonderful, and
Yeah.
most are diverse. And that was what I saw was kind of lacking. You know, it was like
They talk
just
about the beer, but no one really knows about the events.
Yes.
Yeah, which is what I love about what you and
Yes.
your group is doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
truly great work. Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we should go ahead and wrap this up. This is a little shorter episode this week, but
Yeah.
only 2 podcasts to cover, and it's been a long day for all of us.
It
It's like
has.
125 degrees outside or something.
Well,
has.
and I know that my power was out for multiple hours last night with the storm, so I didn't
Yeah.
sleep well at all, and then just long day at work, and
Yeah.
you had that 137 degree temperature and humidity on top of it. I'm cooked.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
We'll go find some air conditioning, Julia.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So Marco and Mark, depending on your schedule, what are you going to try to do? What are you going to try to do? What are you going to be doing?
Tell you what
next
I'm going
week?
to do, Julia.
Yes.
Tell you what I'm going to do as an American.
Tell me what you're
what are
going
you
to
gonna
do.
do, Marco?
Cincinnati.
What you gonna do?
What are you gonna do,
Cincinnatian as an
Marco?
American. I'm going to listen to all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts from this coming up week, and then I will meet with you
Yes.
here at BC's Bottle Lodge next Tuesday to give our version of the truth of those podcasts.
Hell yeah. I think I'll join you. We'll see you guys next week, everyone.
Awesome. Cheers.
Adios.
Cheers.
Hi, everybody. It's Marco here with Julia from Truth Beer Pod. Just wanted to take a moment to really speak about something that, I don't know if a lot of people talk about. Whether you're in the brewing industry, hospitality industry, restaurant industry, or not, just, any other sort of field that you may be in, there are times that sometimes you need to talk to someone. And what's important is that everybody know that life is worth living, and tomorrow is something that can bring on new and exciting and beautiful promises. So for those of us that work really hard in this particular industry, I just wanted to take a moment, and Julia agreed to let everyone know that you matter. So with that being said, Julia, why don't you give our listeners some information on, if or when they feel that way, who to contact or how to contact them.
Yeah, if you need to reach out to someone and you don't feel comfortable calling a friend, a family member, going through, if your company has some type of employee support system, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Their number is 1-800-273-8255. If you don't want to talk to someone, but you would rather text someone instead, they do have a text line. You can text the number 4 and then the word HOPE, for HOPE, that is 44673 to 741-741. And then starting July 16th nationwide, there will be a new number very similar to 911, but just for just mental health purposes, 988. So again, 988 starts on July 16th. And remember, it is perfectly okay to not be okay. We just want you to reach out and talk to someone if you ever see the need to.
Thanks, Julia.